There's a handful of things we're going to really look at today. The first is we're going to look at some telephony stuff. The second is, you've all heard a ton about readers, you've heard a ton about tablet PCs. I would suggest that what you're seeing today is very, very short-lived stuff, because all of the devices you're going to look at are going to get converged into what I would call, it's going to be some converged device that represents today's iTouch/iPhone, a reader, and a tablet PC. Okay? It will more than likely be an organic LED display, which is incredibly thin, pretty good power management, incredibly high resolution. It will probably be a folding device, because organic LEDs, A, they have flexibility in them, but B, they are much cheaper to build in smaller form factors. They become exponentially more expensive as you go on. For example, the Verizon Droid has a 3.7-inch diagonal OLED. Probably costs them 30 or 40 bucks for that OLED. An 11-inch Sony organic LED costs $2,500. Okay? So it's a very, very steep climb. Now, the exponential nature of that price increase is going to come down over time. But in the near term, I think there will be multiple OLED screens. I saw a device in Tokyo that had 3 small OLEDs stacked, tri-folded, and the device was substantially thinner than an iPhone when it was all folded up. Okay? Now, why do we think that's going to be the case? Well, there's a hypothesis that says that phones may actually get simpler, and you'll use a phone to make phone calls. Don't you wish sometimes when you're browsing the web on your iPhone that you had larger screens, that you had more real estate? Well, that's sort of what tablet PCs are about, right? Yeah. Don't you wish when you're on an iBook that you had it in color, that you could read your newspaper or magazine on it, and that you could navigate a little better than an iBook lets you navigate? Well, that's a tablet PC. So you roll them all into one, and we will have a device that will probably be apps a la iPhone, newspapers and magazines, web browsing, potentially enterprise-level email management. Although, I'm not sure these devices are going to have great keyboards. We will see some stuff about new technology on touch panels. Have any of you guys heard of the slide, where you have a regular keyboard, but without lifting your finger, you sort of connect the letters, and it just types the word in a shot? Okay, so we're going to see a little bit of that. So that's one sector. And it's very difficult to show because we'll see a couple of readers, we'll see a bunch of phones, but the tablets are somewhere else. And I think what you need to do in your head is fast forward 2 or 3 years to the point in time when you have some sort of folding device that's quite compact, that'll sit in your pocket, and that will serve all those purposes. So that's number one. Number two, there's tons of stuff here on 3D. And we have some very mixed feelings about 3D. I'm a techie, so I like anything new. But the fact is, this stuff gives you a real headache. Okay? And there are some real questions as to whether people are going to be sitting in their living rooms with glasses on. And some of these glasses, the good ones, are like ski goggles. And you can't really multitask. So our own view is, it's going to be very big for gaming. I think for certain sports events it's going to be really interesting. But generally speaking, for day-to-day television viewing, it ain't going to go 3D. Right? There are 3 ways that 3D is done, because you need to separate the image into 2, and the brain puts it back together again. The cheapest and most common way to do it is through polarized glasses that splits the picture. You see almost none of that here. The second is by deinterlacing the RGB signal. You see none of that here. The most expensive way, and the best way to do it, is using glasses that have LCD shutters. And so what they're doing is they're shutting down one eye at a time. That's what you see here, for the most part. The Blu-ray 3D system has adopted what they call active glasses, which are the LCD shutters. It's a very simple reason for that. They won't acknowledge it, but the TV is the same TV they showed last year, essentially.
Right.
All they're doing is they're putting an emitter under the TV. It synchronizes the clocking between the image on the TV and the glasses that you're wearing. And the glasses just close one eye at a time at the right frequency. They have to do it with precision. And the image that you see appears to be in 3D. Okay? What that means essentially is they don't have to re-engineer their screens. They don't have to re-engineer the input path. If you're a broadcaster, you don't need a completely new infrastructure. You're sending information from two different cameras through an interlacing that then gets separated out. Now, we're going to see some stuff at Sony. Good morning. You're going to see some stuff at Sony here, where I'm going to show traditional LCD screens that are done in 3D. Probably the single best implementation of 3D is on the Sony organic LED screen that is also right here. We're going to head from here to the only demonstration of 3D that does not require glasses. Do you remember, like, when we were kids? Well, I was a kid earlier than most of you were, but there used to be these 3D still images, right? You'd sort of look at it from this side, it's a woman. When you look at it this way, it's a guy, right? You know, that sort of thing. It's actually a pretty apt subject for Las Vegas.
And Los Angeles, quite
yeah,
often.
Los Angeles.
That's the show next door, by the way. We can go there later.
Well, it uses a lenticular screen. What a lenticular screen does is focusing screens and digital SLRs use them. And it does separate the image the same way. You'll see in that demo, and I'll point it out again, they have 4 TVs, 4 screens at different heights. If you move your head, the image gets shaky up. The screen that is sharpest is the one that's at eye level. If you try and get it at an angle, it ceases to work, but it's still pretty good and you don't have to wear glasses. At Panasonic, we'll see start-to-end 3D deployment. They have the camera with the twin lenses, single output path. Again, all active. We're going to go from there to Motorola, then Microsoft, and then we're going to end at Intel, where we will touch on this as we go through.